I don't know, dude. Like, I just really dislike some of the items in this game, because in Mario Kart Wii, every single item had the potential to be used well, but if you just spammed it, it's called shrooms or stars or whatever. And, oh gosh, this is bad. Case in point right here. Oh boy. But like, you could hold just about anything and use it at the right time, and it would benefit you greatly compared to using it just willy-nilly. In this game, though, you have at least 2 items that are best when used randomly. So a Fire Flower, if you spam it, you get 15 shots, and they just cover the track, and you literally can't avoid them if you're ahead of them. Yo, dude, go, please go tight? Okay. So, essentially, the game actually wants you to spam the Fire Flower, because that's the best way of using it. It takes no finesse whatsoever, and you'll often see me use a Fire Flower not by spamming it, but by sort of selecting my shots. That is not a good way of using it, I just sort of do it because I can. And with the Boomerang, like, it's kind of the same deal. Like, you've got to... The best way to use it is to try and clear out everything around you, and you have to use it 3 times to get the long range throw. So... And then you've got, like, triple red shells. Like, in triple red shells in Mario Kart Wii, if you threw them all at once, they would crack on each other, and they would be literally useless. Not only that, but even if you did happen to get them off, you had to throw them at the right time, otherwise, they'd just hit walls. Oh no. Okay. Then, with green shells in Mario Kart Wii, you had smart bouncing, which is... It still exists here. But if you spam green shells in this... Oh, battery's running out. If you spam green shells in this game, not to the point where they break, but on each other, that is, but if you just sort of throw them, because of the smart bouncing, you'll probably hit someone. It might be yourself, it might be someone else, but it'll usually be... If you sort of throw them in the general direction of someone, they will hit, right? Then you've also got things like piranha plants, right? So you can use a piranha plant fairly well in this game. It's one of the few sort of skill-based things, because it's like, you gotta choose between spamming it and not spamming it, and like sort of using the boosts effectively. But it's such a weak item compared... It's only marginally better when used properly, compared to just spamming it and hoping that you don't get redded. And not only that, but it causes huge clusterfucks that, again, are based on people just spamming their items, which is apparently the best way of using things in this game. I mean, this is sort of my central complaint about the game. It's that in Mario Kart Wii, every item could be used really well, and if it did, it would give you a huge benefit, and therefore there was actual item skill in the game. You know, you could have players who didn't time trial, like, at all. Like, take Cool Guy, for example, as he's known now, Leishi. Larry, even. You know, a lot of you guys watch Larry, and you know he doesn't really time trial. He usually just relies on item skill. Those players in Mario Kart Wii were actually really, really good, because they could just rely on item use, and the item system would reward them for playing well. In this game, the item system rewards you for playing well by... pretty much, if you make a mistake, you die. If you don't make a mistake, you only sometimes die. So it's not so much a reward, it's a punishment for playing poorly. So you've got this... Instead of situations where it's like, wow, I played that really well, like in Mario Kart Wii, you know, I used this, I predicted lightning, I knew there was going to be a bulb, or I used my 3 reds perfectly, or that kind of thing. It's, in this game, if you win, you feel like you deserved it. If you lose, you feel like the game fucked you over. In Mario Kart Wii, if you win, you feel like you played for it, and if you lose, you feel like, well, I got a little unlucky, but I can probably bring it back next race. And that's the biggest problem with this game. So... yeah, I just... That sort of goes back to what we were talking about before, how we had people saying, you know, you deserve to win this. In this game, you kind of do feel like you deserve to win races where you don't win. In Mario Kart Wii, you only ever felt that if you didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. In this game, you have sort of races where you're in first the whole time, and then the guy behind you just gets trip reds, and the race is over for you. You know, it would actually take them fucking up in order to not... for you to lose. And in Mario Kart Wii, that never happened. If you got blued out of first a couple of times, that was a bit of bad luck, whatever, keep playing. If you get trip redded, you're like, dude, what the fuck could I do? In Mario Kart Wii, you get blued a million times, there's not much you can do, but you could have perhaps trapped better, you could have got a better lead through trapping, you could have maybe taken a few riskier strats. I don't know, like, there was always something you could have done to make yourself place higher, and the best players always did those things. That's why, even though the item system was so powerful compared to how it is in this game, you would always see, you know, Sean Tanney, top spots, Cool Guy, top spots, Kiva, top spots, etc. And until Nintendo stops fucking paying attention to the casuals who have no idea what they're talking about, Mario Kart 9 is going to have the same problem. Mario Kart 7 had the same problem, to some degree, not quite as bad as this game. I still enjoy this game because, you know, it's one of the few Mario Kart games where time trial speed actually seems to matter a lot, but there's some frustrating shit going on. I'm gonna get horned here, I think. Maybe not. We didn't use it. Okay. And that's why, like, another thing about this game is that at some point everyone's going to get pretty good. And by pretty good I mean sort of the level I'm at now, except a couple of months down the track. Alright, so maybe I might be a little better. I don't know, I might get sort of rusty, or I might get rid of the game or something like that. Depends on what they do with the patch. But everyone's going to eventually reach the level I'm at, for example. And once you reach my level, there's not much further you can go that's going to actually affect things too greatly. And once that happens, you're going to have a situation where pretty much every race is determined by the items that you get, and that's it. And in Mario Kart Wii, we reached that in like 2008, but because the item system was so deep, there was actually a lot you could do with it, and there was a lot of room to play. No, am I getting trip-rated? No, that guy's getting trip-rated. Well, that's a problem. For Toto, that is. Like right there, what could Toto have possibly done? I threw a red at him and he died. That's literally his race over, because, well, partly because he's in a speed combo, but... Anyway. I am ranting a little bit here, but I'm not so much frustrated with the game, I'm just sort of frustrated that it's inevitable that the game's gonna die. And when it does die, it's not gonna be pretty. It's not like Mario Kart Wii, where we actually have, you know, a really cool ending FFA where everyone, you know, all the great players come back and play in it for one last time, and it's all great, it's fun. It's not gonna be like that. Because everyone's gonna reach that sort of soft skill cap, and then everything from there is gonna be luck-based. And I'm not looking forward to that day. I'm sort of in two minds at the moment, because Imperius is sort of... One of the things behind Imperius, my team, is that we're trying to push the game as hard as we can. We're trying to get to that skill cap. We're trying to get as far as possible ahead of everyone else. And on one hand, that could potentially just speed the whole process up, and we might, instead of hitting it in a couple of months, in next year sometime, we might actually hit it in a couple of months, the skill cap, that is. On the other hand, perhaps we'll find something that saves the game before it happens. Like, that's sort of what I'm hoping for, is that by constantly pushing the game to its limits, we can maybe find something about, I don't know, the item system, or a new trick, or something like that, that saves the game. Anyway. Like, you can see it in this game, to some degree. Already. Like, when it's, me and Narshan and Twillers or Jack or whatever in a room, it's usually the person who gets the reds that wins. And it's not... Like, Jack is faster than me, but he's not so much faster that I can't keep up with him, and if I get trip reds, you know, I can still beat him. And in fact, you see a lot of time trialers, especially the ones sort of toward the top of the time trial leaderboards, but not actually at the top, or maybe they're specialists or whatever. You see a lot of them sort of do poorly in Worldwides, even though speed is so important in this game. And that's just because it's sort of like, well, what if you aren't fast enough to outrun all this crap that's happening, then you've got to, it's sort of like you're already at that skill cap, except the skill cap, you're not at the skill cap, you're just sort of at the level where everyone else is. And I think that's why so many people think this game is so luck-based, even though it's not. They're at a point where, for them, it actually is. Oops, and then I fuck up. Help. And then, for those of you who are sitting there thinking, this guy takes this game way too seriously, it's not so much that I'm taking it seriously, or I am, but at the moment, this is like the only game that's actually worth playing. Like, not many other games are worth my free time right now. I was lucky. I got a shroom boost off someone. Oh gosh, I got a slide. I got a pinball. Help.